mining colony Theta 9 was not a pleasant place to work. The air always smelled like metal and oil. The machines never stopped making noise. Park Ji-won had been working here for 3 years, and she was used to it now. She was an engineer. Her job was to fix the power systems that kept the colony running. Without power, everyone would die. It was important work, even if nobody thanked her for it. The colony was special because humans worked here with the Vryn. The Vryn looked like giant wolves that walked on 2 legs. They had sharp teeth, sharp claws, and golden eyes that seemed to see everything. Most species in the galaxy were afraid of the Vryn. The Vryn were hunters. They were strong and dangerous. Ji-won was not afraid of them. She treated them with respect, just like she treated everyone else. But the Vryn workers mostly stayed away from the humans. They thought humans were weak, too soft, not good for hard work. Today was a normal day. Ji-won put on her work clothes and picked up her tools. She had to check the power lines in Section 12. It was far from the main area in the tunnels that ran under the colony. The tunnels were dark and narrow. Ji-won did not mind. She liked working alone. She climbed down the metal ladder into the tunnel. Her headlight showed the way. The tunnel walls were rough stone. Water dripped from the ceiling. Her boots made splashing sounds as she walked. She found the power conduit that needed repair. Someone had damaged it with a cart. The metal cover was bent. Ji-won knelt down and opened her tool bag. This would take about 20 minutes to fix. That was when she heard the sound. A small, high-pitched cry. Like a bird, but not quite. It came from deeper in the tunnel. Ji-won stopped working. She turned her head and listened. The cry came again. It sounded scared. Something was lost down here. She stood up slowly and walked toward the sound. Her light moved across the tunnel walls. There, in a small alcove, she saw it. A Vryn cub. The cub was tiny, maybe 3 months old. Its fur was gray and fluffy. Its ears were too big for its head. It looked up at Ji-won with huge golden eyes and cried again. Ji-won's heart squeezed in her chest. The poor thing was terrified. It must have wandered away from its family. The tunnels were dangerous. There were deep holes and broken equipment everywhere. If the cub fell, it could die. She knelt down and held out her hand. "Hey, little one," she said softly. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." The cub's ears went flat against its head. It made a small growling sound, but the growl was weak. It was trying to be brave, but it was just a baby. Ji-won moved closer, very slowly. She kept talking in a calm voice. "You're lost, aren't you? Don't worry. We'll find your family." The cub watched her. Its little nose twitched, smelling her. Then suddenly it jumped. Ji-won gasped as the cub landed on her back. Its small claws grabbed onto her work jacket. It pressed itself against her, shaking. For a moment, Ji-won did not move. The cub was warm and soft. She could feel its tiny heart beating fast. It was clinging to her like she was its mother. "Okay," Ji-won said quietly. "Okay, little one. I've got you." She tried to reach back and take the cub off. But when she touched it, the cub cried out and held on tighter. Its claws went deeper into her jacket. Not enough to hurt her, but enough to show it was not letting go. Ji-won sighed. She checked her watch. 4 more hours until her shift ended. 4 more hours of repairs and inspections. She had a schedule to keep. The colony depended on her work. She looked over her shoulder at the small creature on her back. The cub had stopped crying. It was quiet now, breathing in little puffs against her neck. "All right," Ji-won said. "You can stay there, but you have to be good. I have work to do." She went back to the damaged conduit. Moving carefully, she knelt down and started working again. The cub shifted on her back but did not let go. Ji-won talked to it while she worked. "See this wire? It connects the power to the buildings above us. If I don't fix it, people won't have lights. They won't have heat. So we have to fix it, right?" The cub made a small chirping sound. Ji-won smiled. "Yeah, I thought you'd understand." It took her longer than usual to finish the repair. Working with a cub on her back was hard. But she managed. She always managed. When she finished, she climbed back up the ladder. The cub held on tight. Its small paws patted her shoulder like it was trying to help. Ji-won walked through the main corridor toward her next job. Other workers saw her. Their eyes went wide. A human woman with a Vryn cub on her back. Nobody had ever seen that before. Her friend Han Min-ji ran up to her. Min-ji worked in the communications department. Her face was full of shock. "Ji-won, what are you doing?" Min-ji whispered loudly. "That's a Vryn cub. You can't just..."
Carry it around.
I found it in the tunnels, G1 explained calmly. It was scared. It jumped on my back and won't let go. I tried to take it off, but it just holds on tighter. Minji stared at the cub. The cub stared back. Its golden eyes blinked slowly. This is bad, Minji said. If the Vryn see you with their cub, they might think you took it. They might attack you. I didn't take it, G1 said. I'm trying to find its family. But I also have 4 more hours of work. The power systems can't wait. G1, please be careful, Minji said. Her voice was worried. The Vryn are dangerous. Everyone knows that. Everyone is dangerous if you scare them, G1 replied. I'll be fine. I always am. She walked away, leaving Minji standing there with her mouth open. For the next 2 hours, G1 moved through the colony doing her work. She checked power readings. She replaced a broken circuit. She recalibrated a generator. And through it all, the cub stayed on her back. The cub seemed to relax. It stopped shaking. Sometimes it made curious little sounds when G1 explained what she was doing. It watched everything with bright, interested eyes. People kept staring. Humans whispered to each other. Alien workers from other species stopped to watch. Even a Zentari merchant, who usually never paid attention to anything, stared with all 3 of his eyes. Never thought I'd see a human carrying a Vryn cub, the Zentari said. Never thought I'd see a Vryn cub let anyone but Vryn touch it. G1 shrugged. He needed help. I helped him. That's all. You're either very brave or very stupid, the Zentari said, but he was smiling. G1 was in Section 8 checking a coolant line when she heard the growl. It was deep and low. It made the air vibrate. It was the kind of sound that made prey animals want to run and hide. G1 turned around slowly. A massive Vryn stood in the corridor. He was at least 7 feet tall. His fur was dark gray with silver streaks. His eyes were the color of ice. Scars crossed his face and arms. This was not just any Vryn. This was a warrior. The Vryn's name was Thal. He was a supervisor in the mining operations. G1 had seen him before, but never this close. He was even more intimidating up close. Thal's eyes locked onto the cub on G1's back. His lips pulled back, showing his teeth. The growl got louder. Other humans in the area backed away. Some of them ran. G1 could hear Minji somewhere behind her saying, "Oh no, oh no, oh no." But G1 did not run. She stood still. She kept her hands where Thal could see them. She made her voice calm and steady. "Hello," she said. "I think this might be someone you know." Thal took a step forward. Then another. He circled G1 slowly, like a predator deciding where to bite. The cub on her back chirped. It was a happy sound. Thal stopped circling. He looked at the cub. Then he looked at G1. His eyes were hard to read. "That is Kren," Thal said. His voice was rough, like rocks grinding together. "My sister's son. Where did you find him?" "In the tunnels under Section 12, G1 said. He was alone and scared. I was going to look for his family after my shift, but he jumped on my back. He won't let go." Thal's eyes narrowed. "Why did you not bring him back immediately?" "Because the colony needs power," G1 said simply. "If I stop working, people suffer." He seemed safe with me. I kept working. Thal made a sound in his throat. It might have been surprise. It might have been anger. G1 could not tell. "Give him to me," Thal said. He reached for the cub. But when Thal's hand got close, Kren did something nobody expected. The cub growled. Not at G1, at Thal, his own uncle. Kren pressed himself tighter against G1's back. His small claws dug in a little deeper. He made a defiant chirping sound. Thal froze. His hand hung in the air. He stared at his nephew like he had never seen him before. G1 felt the tension in the air. This was a moment that could go very bad or very good. She chose her words carefully. "He's comfortable here," she said quietly. Maybe it would be better if I finish my shift with him. Then we can bring him back together. When he's ready." Thal's golden eyes fixed on her. For a long moment he said nothing. The silence stretched out. Everyone was watching, waiting. Then Thal did something that shocked everyone in the corridor. He stepped back. He lowered his hand. "You will bring him to the nursery when your shift ends," Thal said. It was not a question. It was a command. "I will," G1 promised. Thal looked at her for another long moment. Then he turned and walked away. His heavy footsteps echoed in the corridor. As soon as he was gone, everyone started breathing again. Minji rushed up to G1. "How are you still alive?" Minji asked. Her voice was high with stress. Do you know what you just did? You made a Vrin supervisor back down. Nobody makes them back down. Jiwon went back to work. She had 2 more repairs to finish before her shift ended. The cub Kren stayed quiet on her back. He seemed to enjoy watching her work. Every time she explained something, he chirped softly. Word spread fast through the colony. A human carrying a Vrin cub. People came to see it with their own eyes. They whispered and pointed. Some looked amazed. Others looked worried. Jiwon ignored them all. She had a job to do. She was fixing a relay switch in Section 5 when her supervisor found her. Lee Donghyun was a short, nervous man who worried about everything. Right now, he looked like he might have a heart attack. Park Ji-won, he said, breathing hard from running. What is that on your back? A Vrin cub, Ji-won said. She did not stop working. I found him lost in the tunnels. I'm watching him until my shift ends. You can't just carry around a Vrin cub, Donghyun sputtered. There are rules. Regulations. What if something happens to it? What if the Vrin blame us? Nothing will happen to him, Ji-won said calmly. I already spoke to Thal. He knows I have Kren. Everything is fine. Thal? The Vrin supervisor? Donghyun's voice went even higher. You talked to him? And you're still alive? He was very reasonable, Ji-won said. She tightened the last screw on the relay switch and stood up. There, all done. Section 5 is good for another 6 months. Donghyun stared at her, then at Kren, then back at her. He opened his mouth. Closed it, opened it again. No words came out. I have one more job, Ji-won said. Coolant check in Section 7. Then I'll bring Kren to the nursery. Ji-won, please. Donghyun said weakly. Just be careful. Very careful. I always am, Ji-won said. She gave him a small smile and walked away. As she walked through the colony, Ji-won noticed something strange. Vrin workers were watching her, not with anger or threat, with curiosity. They kept their distance, but their eyes followed her everywhere. An old female Vrin stood near the medical bay. She had white fur and kind eyes. Her name was Shara. She was some kind of elder, though Ji-won did not know exactly what that meant. Shara watched Ji-won walk past. She did not speak, but she nodded slowly like she was seeing something important. Ji-won reached Section 7. This was the coolant management area. Big pipes ran along the walls and ceiling. They carried freezing liquid that kept the generators from overheating. It was important work. Dangerous work. She checked her tablet. The readings looked normal. She just needed to do a visual inspection of the main valve. That was when the alarm started screaming. Red lights flashed everywhere. The sound was so loud it hurt. Ji-won grabbed her tablet and looked at the readings. Her blood ran cold. Coolant leak. Critical level. Main valve failure. Section 7 was about to become a death trap. The coolant was toxic. If the leak got worse, the entire section would fill with poisonous gas. And if she did not fix it fast, the generators would overheat. The whole colony could lose power. In space, losing power meant death. Ji-won looked over her shoulder at Kren. The cub was watching her with worried eyes. He could sense something was wrong. She had a choice. She could leave Section 7 right now, take Kren to safety, call for another engineer. But that would take time. Time the colony did not have, or she could go in. Fix the leak. With Kren on her back, it was not a choice, really. She knew what she had to do. Hold on tight, little one, she said to Kren. This is going to get rough. Ji-won pulled on her respirator mask. It would filter out the toxic gas. She sealed her gloves and jacket tight. Then she grabbed her emergency repair kit and ran into Section 7. The temperature hit her like a wall. One moment it was cold, the next it was burning hot. The pipes were leaking coolant and sparking electricity at the same time. Ice formed on one wall. Fire burned on another. It was chaos. Ji-won moved carefully through the section. Her boots crunched on ice. Smoke stung her eyes. She could hear the hiss of escaping gas. The toxic cloud was spreading. Kren pressed himself flat against her back. He was scared, but he did not cry. He did not let go. He just held on and trusted her. We're okay, Ji-won said, though her voice shook a little. Just a bit of heat. A bit of cold. Nothing we can't handle together. She found the main valve. It was worse than she thought. A whole section of pipe had cracked. Coolant was spraying everywhere. The valve controls were fried. Ji-won worked fast. Her hands moved automatically. She had done repairs like this 100 times before, but never with a life depending on her. Never with a cub on her back. She bypassed the broken valve. She sealed the crack with emergency foam. She rerouted the coolant to the backup system. Every second counted. Every movement had to be perfect. Sweat poured down her face. Her muscles burned. The weight of Kren on her back felt like it had doubled. But she did not stop. She could not stop. Behind her, something exploded. Sparks flew. A secondary pipe ruptured. The path she had used to enter was now blocked by fire and ice. G1 looked around. There was another way out. A maintenance shaft, but it was small, narrow, filled with live electrical wires. She looked at her tablet. The valve was fixed. The coolant was stable. But they were trapped. Okay, G1 said to Kren. New plan. We climb. She approached the maintenance shaft. It was vertical. A ladder ran up the side. Electrical conduits hummed with power on both sides. One wrong move and they would be electrocuted. G1 grabbed the ladder. Her hands were shaking. Her legs felt weak. She had used all her strength fixing the valve. She did not know if she had enough left to climb, but she started climbing anyway. One rung, then another, then another. Kren shifted on her back. His small paws patted her shoulder, like he was trying to encourage her. Like he was saying, "You can do it." "Thanks, little one," G1 whispered. "I needed that." She kept climbing. Her arms screamed in pain. Her fingers cramped. But she thought about Kren, about his tiny heart beating against her back, about his trust in her. She could not let him down. She would not let him down. Halfway up, her foot slipped. For a terrible moment, she hung by just her hands. Kren's claws dug in, holding tight. He did not panic. He stayed perfectly still, helping her balance. G1 found her footing again. She took a deep breath and kept going. Finally, after what felt like forever, she reached the top. She pulled herself through the opening and collapsed on the floor of the upper corridor. For a moment, she just lay there, breathing hard. Her whole body hurt. She had never been so tired in her life. Kren chirped softly. He licked her ear with his small, rough tongue. Ji-won laughed. It was a weak, tired laugh. But it was real. "We did it," she said. "We actually did it." She heard footsteps. Heavy footsteps. She turned her head and saw Thal running toward her. His face was worried. Behind him were several other Vryn and humans. Thal dropped to his knees beside her. "You went into Section 7, he said. It was not a question. The valve needed fixing, Ji-won said simply. "With my nephew on your back," Thal said. His voice was strange. Not angry. Something else. "I didn't have time to take him somewhere safe," Ji-won explained. "The colony needed the power. People would die if I waited." Thal reached for Kren. This time the cub led him. Thal lifted Kren gently and checked him over. The cub was fine. Scared but fine. "You carried him through fire," Thal said quietly. "Through poison. Through danger. He needed me," Ji-won said. She sat up slowly. "Everything hurt." "That's reason enough." Thal stared at her. For a long moment he said nothing. Then he did something that shocked everyone watching. He helped her stand. He did not just pull her up. He was gentle, respectful, like she was someone important. "The valve," Thal said. "Did you fix it?" "Yes," Ji-won said. "The colony is safe." Thal nodded slowly. "You could have left. Saved yourself and Kren, called for help. But you stayed." "You fixed the problem. It's my job," Ji-won said. "Why?" Thal asked. His golden eyes searched her face. "Why risk yourself? Why risk Kren? Why not just run?" Ji-won looked at Kren. The little cub was safe in his uncle's arms now. But he was looking at her. His golden eyes were bright and trusting. "Because," Ji-won said quietly, "when someone needs you, you don't run. You don't abandon them. You do what needs to be done. That's what family does. That's what good people do." The corridor was silent. Every Vryn there was listening. Every human was holding their breath. Thal's expression changed. It softened. Something like respect appeared in his eyes. "You speak of family," he said. "But Kren is not your family." "He needed me," Ji-won said again. "That made him my responsibility, and I take my responsibilities seriously." Thal looked at Kren, then back at Ji-won. Then he did something nobody expected. He bowed. Just slightly, but it was definitely a bow. "The Vryn understand loyalty," Thal said. "We understand protecting those who cannot protect themselves. You have shown both these things today. You have my respect, Park Ji-won. The other Vrin in the corridor made sounds of agreement, low rumbles that vibrated in the air. Minji pushed through the crowd and grabbed Ji-won's arm. Are you okay? Are you hurt? Do you need medical? I'm fine, Ji-won said, though she was swaying on her feet. Just tired. Minji's voice was shrill. You just went through a toxic hellscape with a baby alien on your back. You're insane. Maybe, Ji-won said. She smiled weakly. But the colony still has power. That's what matters. Kren reached out from Thal's arms. His small paws stretched toward Ji-won. He made a sad sound. The next day, Ji-won woke up sore. Every muscle in her body ached. But she got up anyway. She had work to do. When she arrived at the power distribution center, something was different. A group of Vrin workers were waiting outside. They stopped talking when they saw her. Ji-won tensed. This could be good or bad. With the Vrin, you never knew. One of them stepped forward. He was young, with dark brown fur. Park Ji-won, he asked. Yes? Ji-won said carefully. The young Vrin nodded. We heard what you did. With Kren, we wanted to say thank you. Kren is part of our pack. You protected him. That means something. Ji-won blinked. She had not expected this. I just did what anyone would do. No, another Vrin said. She was older, with gray streaks in her fur. You did what most would not. You risked yourself for one not your own. That is brave. That is honorable. They all nodded. Then one by one they placed their fists over their hearts. It was a Vrin gesture of respect. Ji-won did not know what to do, so she bowed slightly. Thank you, she said. As she went inside to start her shift, she felt lighter somehow, like something good had happened even if she did not fully understand it. The day passed normally. Ji-won checked systems, fixed problems, kept the colony running. But throughout the day she noticed small changes. Vrin workers nodded to her in the hallways. Some even said hello. One offered to help her carry a heavy toolbox. A female Vrin brought her lunch without being asked. Minji was amazed. They never do this, she whispered during a break. The Vrin never interact with humans like this. What did you do? I carried a cub through my shift, Ji-won said with a shrug. It's more than that, Minji said. I've been asking around. In Vrin culture, carrying another's young is sacred. It's something only family does. By carrying Kren, by protecting him, you basically told them you see them as family. You see their cubs as worth protecting. Ji-won thought about that. Well, she said slowly, their cubs are worth protecting. All kids are worth protecting. That's what makes you different, Minji said. Most humans here are scared of the Vrin. Most aliens avoid them. But you just treat them like anyone else. Like they deserve respect and kindness. They do deserve that, Ji-won said. Everyone does. That evening, as Ji-won was finishing her shift, Thal found her again. He looked serious. Park Ji-won, he said. The elders wish to speak with you. Ji-won's stomach flipped. The elders? Yes, they are gathering now in the central hall. It is important. Ji-won followed Thal through the colony. Her heart was beating fast. Vrin elders only gathered for serious matters. Life and death matters. Honor matters. What did they want with her? The central hall was full. Humans, Vrin, and other aliens filled the space. Everyone was watching, waiting. At the front of the hall stood 3 Vrin elders. Shara, the white-furred female Ji-won had seen before, was in the center. 2 males stood on either side of her. All 3 were old, their fur marked with silver and scars from long lives. Vora was there too, holding Kren. The cub was awake and alert, watching everything with bright eyes. Thal led Ji-won to the front. The crowd parted silently. Ji-won felt hundreds of eyes on her. She kept her back straight and her head up. Whatever was about to happen, she would face it with dignity. Shara stepped forward. Her voice was strong despite her age. Park Ji-won, she said. You are not Vrin, you are small. You have no claws, no fangs. By our traditional standards, you are weak, Ji-won said nothing. She waited. Yet, Shara continued, you carried our cub through danger. You protected him when you could have left him. You risked your life to save this colony. You showed courage. You showed loyalty. You showed honor. The other elders nodded. In Vrin culture, Shara said, there is a sacred trust. When one carries another's young, they accept responsibility for that young one's life. It is a bond that cannot be broken. It is a promise that says, I will protect this child as my own. Ji-won began to understand where this was going. Her pulse quickened. You made this promise, Shara said. Not with words. With actions. You carried Kren for hours. You kept him safe through fire and poison. You never put him down. You fulfilled the sacred trust. Vora stepped forward, still holding Kren. She looked at Jiwan with warm eyes. You protected my son, Vora said. By our law, by our tradition, you have earned a place in our pack. Not as a visitor, not as an outsider, but as family. The hall erupted in noise. Humans gasped. Some cheered. Others looked confused. The Vryn made deep rumbling sounds of approval. Jiwan stood frozen. Family, pack. She was being adopted? Jiwan did not know what to say. I'm honored, but I don't understand. I'm human. How can I be part of a Vryn pack? Pack is not about species, one of the male elders said. His voice was deep and rumbling. Pack is about loyalty, about protecting each other, about putting the group before yourself. You have shown all these things. But there are consequences, the other male elder added. Being pack is not just honor. It is responsibility. You will be expected to follow our customs, to help our people, to defend our pack if needed. Jiwan thought about this. It was a lot to take in. She had just wanted to help a scared cub. She never expected this. But as she looked at the Vryn gathered in the hall, she felt something warm in her chest. These fierce, dangerous beings were offering her something precious. They were offering her belonging, and they were doing it because she had been kind. Because she had helped someone who needed help. I accept, Jiwan said. Her voice was steady and clear. I would be honored to be part of your pack. The Vryn in the hall roared. It was a sound of approval, of celebration. The noise was deafening. Shara smiled. It was the first time Jiwan had seen a Vryn smile. It was not like a human smile, but it was warm and genuine. Then it is done, Shara said. Park Jiwan is pack. She is under our protection. Any who harm her harm all of us. Vora approached Jiwan. Kren reached out from his mother's arms. Jiwan took his small paw gently. He marks you as pack, Vora said softly. He will know you always, and we will remember what you did for him. Kren chirped happily. He patted Jiwan's hand with his paw. Then he made a gesture, placing his paw over his heart. Just like the Vryn workers had done that morning, Jiwan felt tears sting her eyes. She placed her hand over her own heart, returning the gesture. The ceremony ended. The crowd began to disperse, but many people came up to Jiwan. Vryn workers who had never spoken to her before now greeted her warmly. They called her Pack Sister. They invited her to eat with them. Human workers looked at her with new respect, and perhaps a bit of nervousness. Being Vryn Pack was serious business. It meant something. Minji found her after the crowd thinned. Her friend looked stunned. Do you understand what just happened? Minji asked. You're the first human ever to be accepted into a Vryn Pack. This is huge. This changes everything. I didn't do it to change anything, Jiwan said. I just helped a kid who needed help. I know, Minji said. She smiled. That's why they chose you. Because you didn't think about politics or species. You just saw someone who needed help and you helped. That's actually really beautiful. Jiwan smiled back. She was tired. It had been a long 2 days. But she felt good. Really good. As she walked back to her quarters, Thal fell into step beside her. You did well, he said, accepting the pack bond. It was the right choice, and what does it mean? Jiwan asked. Really? What does being pack mean? Thal was quiet for a moment. It means you are not alone, he said finally. It means when you need help, we will come. It means when we need help, you will come. It means loyalty, trust, family. I can do that, Jiwan said. I know you can, Thal said. You already have. He paused outside her quarters. There will be challenges, he warned. Not everyone will understand. Some humans will be jealous. Some will be afraid. Colonial administration will have questions. Let them ask, Jiwan said. I know what I did was right. I know these people. These Vryn. They're good. They deserve respect and kindness. If others can't see that, that's their problem, not mine. Thal's lips pulled back. It might have been a smile. You are brave, Park Jiwan. Braver than most. The pack chose well. He placed his fist over his heart. Jiwan returned the gesture. Then Thal walked away, leaving Jiwan standing in the corridor. She went inside her quarters and sat on her bed. 2 days ago, she had been just an engineer. Someone who fixed things. Someone nobody really noticed. Now she was pack. She was family to beings most people feared. She had changed the relationship between humans and Vryn on this colony. And she had done it all by doing something simple. She had helped someone who needed help. Jiwon lay back on her bed and closed her eyes. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight she could rest knowing she had done something good, something right. And somewhere in the Vryn nursery, a small cub named Kren was sleeping peacefully, dreaming of the human who had carried him through fire. 3 days after the pack ceremony, Jiwon received a message. She was to report to Colonial Administration immediately. The message was formal and cold. That was never a good sign. Minji was worried. "They're going to ask you about the pack bond," she said. "Administration doesn't like things that disrupt the normal order. You becoming Vryn pack, that disrupts everything." "I didn't do anything wrong," Jiwon said calmly. "I know," Minji said, "but that doesn't always matter to them." Jiwon went to the administration building. It was the nicest building on the colony. Clean walls, soft lighting, everything the worker quarters were not. She was led to a large conference room. A woman sat at the head of a long table. Her name was Choi Yeon-soo. She was the colonial liaison officer. Her job was to manage relations between different species on the colony. Several other officials sat around the table. Some human, some alien. All of them looked serious. "Sit down, Engineer Park," Yeon-soo said. Her voice was not friendly. Jiwon sat. She kept her face calm. "We need to discuss what happened 3 days ago," Yeon-soo said. "You were formally accepted into a Vryn pack. Is this correct?" "Yes," Jiwon said. "Do you understand the implications of this?" Yeon-soo asked. "A human has never been accepted into a Vryn pack before. This creates complications." "What kind of complications?" Jiwon asked. Another official spoke up. He was an older man with gray hair. "The Vryn are difficult to work with. They're territorial, aggressive. We've spent years building a careful balance with them. Your actions could upset that balance." "How?" Jiwon asked. "I helped one of their cubs. They thanked me for it. How does that upset anything?" "You crossed a line," Yeon-soo said. "Humans and Vryn are supposed to maintain professional distance. We work together, but we don't become family. That's too close, too complicated." "Why?" Jiwon asked. "Why is it bad to be close to them? They're people. They have feelings and families and honor. They deserve to be treated with respect." "It's not about respect," the gray-haired man said. "It's about maintaining order. If other humans follow your example, if they start forming bonds with Vryn, it changes everything. It makes it harder to manage conflicts, harder to enforce rules." Jiwon felt anger building in her chest. "So you want me to reject the pact bond? Tell them I made a mistake?" "It would be appropriate," Yeon-soo said carefully. "For the good of the colony. For the good of human-Vryn relations." "No," Jiwon said. The word came out harder than she intended. The officials looked surprised. "I'm sorry," Yeon-soo said. "I said no," Jiwon repeated. "I won't reject the pact bond. I won't tell them I made a mistake. Because I didn't make a mistake. What I did was right." "Engineer Park," Yeon-soo said, her voice getting sharp. "You need to understand. This is bigger than you. This affects everyone on this colony. We can't have humans forming random alliances with the Vryn. It's unpredictable. It's dangerous." "What's dangerous," Jiwon said, standing up, "is treating people like they're problems to be managed instead of beings with their own dignity and worth." She looked around the table at all the officials. "You talk about the Vryn like they're animals, like they're threats. But I've worked with them. I've seen them protect their young. I've seen them honor their word. They're not the problem here. The problem is that we've been keeping them at arm's length, treating them like outsiders, never giving them a chance to be anything else." "That's easy for you to say," the gray-haired man said. "You're not responsible for managing thousands of workers and maintaining peace. One wrong move and people could die. One right move can save people," Jiwon countered. "I carried a scared cub through my shift. I showed the Vryn that humans can be trusted, that we care about their families. How is that wrong? How does that hurt anyone?" Before anyone could answer, the conference room door opened. Thal walked in. Behind him came Shara and several other Vryn elders. They had not been invited, but nobody was going to stop them. Yeon-soo stood up. "This is a private meeting," she said. "It concerns our pack member," Thal said. His voice was cold. "That makes it our business." Shara stepped forward. She looked at the officials with eyes that had seen many years. We heard you wish our pack sister to reject her bond with us. It's not like that, Yansu said quickly. We're just trying to understand the situation, to make sure everyone is safe. You fear us? Shara said simply. You have always feared us. You see our teeth and claws and think we are monsters. But this human, this small engineer with no weapons, she saw past that. She saw a scared cub who needed help, and she helped him. We don't fear you, the gray-haired man said, but his voice shook slightly. Yes, you do, Thal said. And that fear makes you keep us separate, keep us at distance. But Park Ji-won showed us something. She showed us that humans can be pack, that humans can be trusted with our young, that humans value honor and loyalty. Vora entered the room carrying Kren. The cub's eyes went wide when he saw Ji-won. He reached for her, making happy chirping sounds. My son knows her, Vora said. He trusts her. He loves her. She carried him through fire and poison. She risked her life to keep him safe. By our law, by our heart, she is family. And we do not abandon family because others are uncomfortable. The officials looked at each other. They were clearly not prepared for this. Yeon-soo took a breath. Look, we understand this is important to your people, but you have to understand our position too. We need predictability. We need rules that everyone follows. If Engineer Park is Vrin Pack, what does that mean for her duties? For her loyalties? What if there's a conflict between human interests and Vrin interests? Then she will do what is right, Shara said. Just as she did before. She will choose honor over convenience. She will choose compassion over fear. This is why we chose her. Ji-won spoke up. May I say something? Yeon-soo nodded reluctantly. Ji-won looked at the officials. You asked what happens if there's a conflict. Here's my answer. There won't be. Because being packed doesn't mean choosing sides. It means understanding that we're all on the same side. We all live on this colony together. We all depend on each other. The Vrin keep the mining operations running. Humans keep the power systems working. Other species handle communications, medical, food production. We need each other, she paused. The problem isn't that I became Vrin Pack. The problem is that we've been treating each other like strangers instead of neighbors. Like competitors instead of partners. What I did with Kren, it showed everyone that we can be more than that. We can be friends. We can be family. And that makes us stronger, not weaker. The room was quiet. Ji-won could see the officials thinking, considering. Finally, one of the alien officials spoke. He was a Zentari, with 3 eyes and blue skin. The human speaks wisdom, he said. I have watched this colony for 5 years. Humans and Vrin work together, but they do not trust each other. This causes problems, delays, conflicts. If this engineer has found a way to bridge that gap, perhaps we should encourage it, not forbid it. Other aliens around the table nodded. They had seen the same problems. Yeon-soo looked frustrated. This is highly irregular, she said. Life is irregular, Shara said. The best things often are. Kren made a loud chirp. Everyone looked at him. He was reaching toward Ji-won, opening and closing his small paws. Vora smiled. He wants to go to you, she said to Ji-won. May I? Ji-won held out her arms. Vora gently placed Kren in them. The cub immediately snuggled against her, making happy sounds. The officials watched this. Even Yeon-soo's expression softened slightly. This is what you're afraid of? Ji-won asked quietly, looking down at Kren. This cub trusting me? This family accepting me? How is this dangerous? Nobody answered. Finally, Yeon-soo sighed. Fine, she said. The pact bond stands. Engineer Park will not be required to reject it. But, she looked at Ji-won firmly, you will be monitored. If any problems arise from the situation, there will be consequences. There will be no problems, Thal said. His voice was confident. Our pack sister understands duty. She understands honor. She will continue to serve this colony well, as will we. The meeting ended. As everyone filed out, several human workers approached Ji-won. She had not noticed them standing in the hallway listening. Dong-hyun, her supervisor, was there. Minji was there, and dozens of others. We heard what they wanted, Dong-hyun said. We came to support you, to tell administration that what you did was good, that you represent the best of what humans can be. Ji-won felt tears in her eyes. Thank you, she said. That means a lot. No, Minji said, hugging her friend. Thank you. You showed us all something important. You showed us that being kind is never wrong, that helping others, no matter who they are, is always right. Kren chirped loudly as if agreeing. Everyone laughed. The tension broke. And in that moment, Ji-won realized something. She had not just joined a Vrin pack. She had helped create something bigger. She had helped create understanding, connection, hope. The galaxy was a big, complicated place, but sometimes the solution to big problems was simple. See someone who needs help, help them. Treat everyone with kindness and respect. Build bridges instead of walls. It was not complicated. It was just hard sometimes. But Ji-won had never been afraid of hard work. She looked at Kren in her arms. The cub looked back at her with trusting. 6 months passed. Mining colony Theta 9 changed in ways nobody expected. It started small. A human worker asked a Vrin for help moving heavy equipment. The Vrin said yes. A Vrin engineer asked a human for advice on a technical problem. The human explained patiently. Then it grew. Humans and Vrin started eating lunch together. They shared stories about their families. They helped each other with work. They became friends. Ji-won watched it all happen. She had not meant to start a revolution. She had just carried a scared cub through her shift. But sometimes that is all it takes. One person doing one kind thing, and everything changes. Kren grew bigger. He was no longer a tiny cub. Now he was a young pup with long legs and a playful spirit. But he still visited Ji-won every day. He would find her during her shift, chirping happily, bringing her things he found. A shiny rock. A broken tool. Once a flower from the colony's greenhouse. Ji-won kept them all. She had a shelf in her quarters covered with Kren's gifts. Minji said it was the strangest collection she had ever seen. But Ji-won loved every piece. One day, Ji-won was working in Section 12. The same tunnels where she had found Kren. She was checking the power conduits, making sure everything was running smoothly. She heard footsteps behind her. Multiple sets. She turned and saw a group of young Vrin pups. Kren was with them, leading them forward. Kren, Ji-won said, smiling. What are you doing here? And who are your friends? Kren chirped proudly. He gestured to the other pups. They were all watching Ji-won with curious eyes. He's showing them, a voice said. Ji-won turned. Vora stood at the tunnel entrance. She was smiling. Showing them what? Ji-won asked. Where he met his pack sister, Vora said. He tells the story often. How he was scared. How you found him. How you carried him to safety. The other pups wanted to see the place, so he brought them here. Ji-won felt her heart warm. She knelt down so she was closer to the pups' level. They all watched her carefully. Is it true? One of the pups asked. Her voice was small and shy. Did you really carry Kren through fire? I carried him through my work shift, Ji-won said gently. And yes, part of that was through a dangerous area. But Kren was very brave. He held on tight and trusted me. That made all the difference. Are you really human? Another pup asked. You don't smell like other humans. Ji-won laughed. I am human, but I'm also Vrin pack. Maybe that changes how I smell. Can we trust humans now? A third pup asked. This one looked worried. Father says humans are scared of us. Ji-won chose her words carefully. Some humans are scared, she admitted, because they don't understand you. They see your teeth and claws and think you're dangerous. But fear comes from not knowing. Once people know you, once they understand you care about your families and your honor, then the fear goes away. Are you scared of us? The first pup asked. No, Ji-won said honestly. I respect you. I know you're strong and powerful, but I'm not scared. Because I know you're also kind and loyal and good, just like humans can be, just like everyone can be if they choose to be. Kren walked up to Ji-won. He pressed his head against her hand. She scratched behind his ears and he made a happy rumbling sound. The other pups watched this. Then one by one they approached Ji-won. Shy at first, then bolder. Soon, all of them were gathered around her, touching her hands, sniffing her curiously, chirping with excitement. Vora watched with soft eyes. You're teaching them something important, she said. You're teaching them that different doesn't mean enemy. That other species can be trusted, can be loved. I hope so, Ji-won said. They're the future. If they grow up without fear, without prejudice, imagine what they could build. Imagine what all of us could build together. Over the next few months, more changes came. A Vrin named Cal started teaching human engineers about mining techniques. A human named Park Hyun-woo started teaching Vrin cubs how to read human language. Mixed teams of humans and Vrin worked together on projects. They were faster and more efficient than either species working alone. Colonial administration noticed. Yeonsu called Jiwon to her office. But this time, it was not a confrontation. Production is up 20%, Yeonsu said. She looked at the reports on her desk. Accidents are down. Worker satisfaction is at an all-time high. The Vrin and humans are working together better than they ever have. That's good, Jiwon said. It's more than good, Yeonsu said. It's remarkable. And it all started with you, with what you did for that cub, she paused. I owe you an apology. I was wrong to ask you to reject the pact bond. What you did, the connections you built, they've made this colony stronger, safer, better. Jiwon was surprised. Yeonsu did not seem like the type to apologize. Thank you, Jiwon said. That means a lot. Don't thank me yet, Yeonsu said. Colonial Command has been watching what happened here. They want to replicate it on other colonies. They want you to help. Help how? Jiwon asked. They want you to travel to other colonies, to share your experience, to teach other humans and Vrin how to work together, how to build trust. Jiwon thought about this. It would mean leaving Theta 9, leaving her friends, leaving Kren and her pack, but it would also mean helping more people, building more bridges, creating more understanding. I'll think about it, Jiwon said. That evening, Jiwon sat in the Vrin nursery. It had become her favorite place to think. The pups were always happy to see her. Their energy was infectious. Kren sat beside her. He was almost full-grown now. Soon he would begin his adult training. Soon he would have his own responsibilities. I might have to leave, Jiwon told him. They want me to help other colonies, to teach them what we learned here. Kren looked at her with intelligent eyes. He understood more than people realized. What do you think? Jiwon asked. Should I go? Kren chirped. Then he stood up and walked to where the younger pups were playing. He looked back at Jiwon and chirped again. Jiwon understood. He was saying, there are more cubs out there. More young ones who need to learn. More bridges to build, she smiled. You're right, she said. You're absolutely right. The next day, Jiwon told Yeonsu she would do it. She would travel to other colonies. She would share what she had learned. The Vrin pack gathered to see her off. Shara gave her a blessing. Thal gave her a weapon, a traditional Vrin blade. To protect yourself, he said, and to remind you that you are pack no matter where you go. Vora gave her a necklace. It had a small tooth on it. From Kren's first shedding, Vora explained. So you carry part of him with you always. The human workers gave her gifts too. Tools, photos, letters of support. Minji cried and hugged her tight. You better come back, Minji said. This place won't be the same without you. I'll come back, Jiwon promised. This is home. This is where my pack is. I'll always come back. Finally, Kren approached. He was trying to be brave. But his eyes were sad. Jiwon knelt down and hugged him. He was so big now. Not the tiny cub who had jumped on her back all those months ago. But still her little one. Still family, I'll miss you, she whispered. But I'll think of you every day, and I'll come visit. I promise, Kren chirped softly. He placed his paw over his heart. Then he placed it over Jiwon's heart. Jiwon understood. It meant you're here, always, in my heart. She placed her hand over her heart, then over his. Always, she agreed. The transport ship left mining colony Theta 9 the next morning. Jiwon watched through the window as the colony grew smaller. She thought about everything that had happened, how it all started with one small act of kindness, a scared cub climbing onto her back, her decision to carry him through her shift. That simple choice had changed everything. It had taught her something important. The galaxy was big and complicated. There were so many species, so many cultures, so many differences. It would be easy to focus on those differences. Easy to stay separate, easy to fear each other. But underneath all those differences, everyone wanted the same things. Safety, belonging, love, understanding, protection for their young, hope for the future. And if people could remember that, if they could see past the teeth and claws and different skin and strange customs, they would find something beautiful. They would find connection. They would find family. Jiwon touched the tooth necklace around her neck. She thought about Kren, about the Vrin pack that had accepted her, about all the bridges she had helped build, and she thought about all the bridges still waiting to be built. All the colonies where humans and Vrin worked side by side but never really saw each other. All the beings who needed someone to show them that different did not mean enemy. She had work to do. Important work. The kind of work that changed hearts and minds. The kind of work that made the galaxy a little bit better, one person at a time. It had started with a cub on her back, a shift that became a lesson, a moment that became a movement, and it would continue. Because Jiwon understood something that many others had forgotten. Humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their adaptability. It was their ability to care, to extend their family circle to include anyone who needed it, to see a scared child and think, I will help. That was what made humans special in the galaxy. Not their weapons or their ships or their colonies, their compassion, their stubborn insistence on kindness even when it was hard, their ability to carry others through the fire,